All right. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Life and Sound podcast. I'm your host, Kid Capone. Today, I have an amazing sample maker with me, Elkan. He's Yes, sir. He's a UK-based sample maker. He's had placements with Tory Lanez, has a few more on the way. He's part of the Rucker Collective, and I'm so excited to have him on the show. Elkan, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, bro. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome, man. It's been a minute since I've talked to you, but I'm excited to have you on the podcast. I know this is going to be a good episode.
Yes, sir. Right now, I'm in Sierra Leone. I'm in Africa right now.
Oh, nice. What's it like over there?
It's hot. It's pretty cool, though. I went to a couple concerts, and it was crazy, like, hearing the music and people wilding out to different music.
Nice. Has it been inspiring some of the samples you've been making lately?
Not really. Like I don't know. Like I don't really go outside that much. But yeah, I think not really. This doesn't not really inspiring.
Oh, that's awesome though. All right. Well, I'll start with some of the easier questions, and we'll kind of go forward from there.
Yes, sir.
Where did the name Elkan come from?
Oh, it's my middle name.
It's your middle name?
Yeah. It's my middle name. So
Nice.
I just use that. Yeah, don't really think of anything else.
It's a unique name. I've never heard it before.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
What is like the origin of it or whatever? Is it like
It's Hebrew. It's Hebrew.
Hebrew? That's awesome.
Yeah. Though.
That's cool.
So.
What would you say, or how would you say your relationship with music has changed now versus when you were younger?
So when I was younger, my mom put me into choirs. My dad taught me how to play piano at a young age. So I was in a choir called Bromley Boys Singers from Bromley in Kent. I spent most of my time doing singing lessons with someone called Sarah Singer. I think her name is Sarah Singer. Sarah Ince. I did a bit of speech classes because I used to have a speech impediment. So learning how to speak and learning how to change my voice. It helps in samples when I try and put on an accent or try and, like the Spider sample, like sounds very like British, Oliver Twist kind of. So I just emulated the voices. So I think playing piano, singing, I picked up saxophone when I was in primary school. I've done a bit of here and there, but now I don't. I've learned how to play guitar, bass, and that's all really.
You also know how to play the ditsy flute. You're the reason I bought one.
Oh yeah, bro. That dizzy flute. It's a hard instrument.
I would agree.
I'm glad people hopped on it.
Yeah, man. And even from you having your speech classes, it really has like come through in your samples because there's samples I've heard by you where it sounds like you're singing in a foreign language. And I'm sure that was able to be better communicated because of your speech classes, right?
Oh, certainly. I think definitely. I think it's O Esmeralda with Me and Culture on Toy Box that spoke in Spanish. I just Google translated some words and just pieced it together.
Sounds great though. Where did the inspiration for that type of like idea even come from? Did it just kind of come out of nowhere?
I just wanted to speak in Spanish, bro. Like I love Spain, and I thought Spanish guitar sample has to add some sort of Spanish element. So
I would definitely agree.
Yes, sir.
So, what was the creation process for Toybox like?
Oh, Toybox was actually like a collection of like a whole year of samples. So I don't remember what sample I started first, but it was different samples in different like ages and eras in my life. So that's why they're so different. Like it doesn't sound like a collection of samples. It sounds like this like different elements from different places. But I remember Spiders, that sample, Spider, running up the stairs. It was just me freestyling into the mic. I was on my bed, I was about to go to sleep. Then I opened my FL Studio and was like, let me just freestyle. Then I started singing.
Really?
Yeah, bro, yeah.
And then how did you like kind of formulate the rest of the sample? Did it start with the vocal and then you kind of built upon it from there?
Yeah, it started with the vocal. Usually with my samples, I don't know if I should say this for later on in the episode, but I like starting off with a vocal or like a main melody idea, which I usually voice note. Then I build off around it. Like the Tory Lanez record was actually a voice note I started. I think I had it in the breakdown somewhere. It was a voice note I just reworked.
That's amazing. So yeah, I guess take us through your process a little bit. Like, how do you typically like to kind of like flow when you're creating?
Usually it starts off with like a melodic idea. Then I would harmonize on the piano, find the chords. Other than that, then I just add, depends on which sample, but then I just carry on adding layers. But some samples I would sing each part. So I would sing the piano like doom 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 doom. Then I then just that was me just making a sample. You know, then I just record that all out. Then just rework it on different instruments.
That's amazing. That's a way unique way of approaching music. I've never heard somebody like voicing out every layer, other than, Michael Jackson. It's the only other person I can think of that does that.
No, don't compare me to Michael Jackson. He's the GOAT, bro.
Nah, I mean, dude, you got talent. I mean, I would never put both of you comparatively. I believe you're both artists in your own unique right.
Thank you, dog.
Yeah.
But I think it's mostly comes from me being in a choir for a long time in my life. So just hearing all the parts of people singing, that just worked into my process.
It sounds like it. It's almost like it's like part of who you are. Like, you grew up in the choir and you're so used to hearing voices harmonize that once you sing one part, you almost know what the other parts are supposed to sound like.
Yeah, especially I remember Kabali talking about church music. Like I grew up in the church as well, and like just hearing that really influenced my samples.
Definitely. I mean, there's a lot of amazing harmony in the church. There's a lot of complex theory, but even if you're using simple chord progressions, they still find ways to really interject a lot of spice and like soul into those simple progressions.
True.
So what are some times you find yourself having the most fun in the studio when you're creating music?
Pardon?
What are the times you find yourself having the most fun when you're creating?
Definitely when I finish, like when I go in and add a vocal. So like say bubblegum, the sample bubblegum is like,
so
Shawty got that bubblegum. It's like when I got that, I was like, dang, that's hard, bro.
Super hard.
Thank you. So samples like that is when I lay everything down, I have all of the instruments, then finally I just go in and lay the vocal down. So usually sometimes I would lay the vocal down at the end and sit down, and it'll take probably like an hour and a half. I remember Bubblegum took so long to find those few words, but once you get it, it's like, okay, this is it.
It's all worth it in the end.
Yeah, true.
So when you're creating, what instruments do you typically gravitate towards, or what are the sounds that really resonate with you that you like to use?
It depends. Usually like a synth. I love synth sounds. Definitely vocals, guitar. Bass. I love a good bass line. I'm trying to think.
What is it about a certain like synth, whether it's like the tone or the effect? Like, what are the synths that you usually like to use?
That's a good question. I really gravitate to a lot of loophole. A loophole that bro, those guys kill the synth sounds, and it's just so simple because they all work with each other. So sometimes I'll just make like the Bubbleology sample from my latest pack Soundbites was a Louis Flynn Astral Bank, I want to say. It was just all those sounds, and that's literally it. I love the synth sounds.
That's amazing.
It saves a lot of time scrolling through presets because they all just dope.
I would agree. And I love those loophole presets they make because you can tell they're really crafted with care and they're made by sample makers, like for sample makers.
For sample makers, definitely, bro.
I feel like we're entering this amazing time right now where sample makers, like the community is just so like together and unified and everybody's really trying to push each other to be better. The products are getting better. The tutorials are getting better. It's amazing.
Facts. Shout out Kabali for Second World. No, it's crazy.
It was incredible.
The recent one, Third World, it's called Winter Haze. Crazy. I think XY, Greg, like Kabali, Joe, all these guys that really like influenced me and helped me get to the next level, you know. Just hearing these dope samples, or Kabali would tell me, I just sent like this person just hit me up out of nowhere. So-and-so big producer would hit me up out of nowhere. And it just, to hear that people are starting to gravitate towards what I call like real heartfelt music, because that's what I think they make. They make real heartfelt music. You can hear the soul and the sweat and tears that goes on towards the samples like Greg Sakira's. And hearing that people are starting to gravitate towards it, because I feel like it does take a long time for people to gravitate towards a new sound or something that someone hasn't done before. Sorry, I'm stuttering.
It's okay, bro.
Yeah. It takes a long time for people to warm up to it because it's out of the norm. So when you hear like a Kabali vocal melody or flute melody, like, oh, what's that? You know, or Greg Sakira's strings, obviously, crazy. But yeah.
I feel like it's definitely an amazing time, and you can definitely hear like the heart and soul and how much you guys care about what you're doing. It's not,
Thank you, bro.
It's not what I would call, it's not like trying to be placement music. It's music that's like, if you didn't ever make $1, I feel like you guys would still be making the kind of music you're making.
Facts. The thing is, because like when I started off making music, I didn't make music for the money. Like, even though like you'd hear DJ Pay One talk about, oh, I made so-and-so dollars off of BeatStars, I wasn't really gravitating towards that. I was gravitating towards what made me feel happy and like what brought joy into my heart, instead of trying to make the most money in a month. I'm not like disrespecting that sort of hustle.
No, not at all.
Like, at the end of the day, everyone's got to make money somehow.
Of course.
And it's just good that through packs you can make money off music you love making, you know. And I feel that's a good business model.
I agree. I recently was watching Oscar Zulu went on live, and he's talking about his packs that he put out, and he's even saying, it's funny to hear him say this, but he's like, those packs aren't meant to be placements. He's like, I don't feel like you could place those, but then you hear him and you're like, I feel like you can make great music to it though, you know?
Yeah, true. I think, is it called, was it Square 1-4, the red cover? That pack's crazy. I remember that pack. So
good.
And all it needs is a Travis Scott or like a Travis Scott and Drake to hop on it, and it's out of here.
That's definitely what he was doing. And he was even saying, when he's creating, he tries not to create always specifically for an artist, but when he is creating, he does keep an artist in mind. And if he does decide to like do things, I guess, for placements, it's only in that artist's season. For instance, Drake and Kanye just dropped. So he's not going to be making Drake and Kanye samples right now.
Yeah,
but
true.
All the other, upcoming trap rap albums that are going to be coming out in the first quarter of the year, he's like, okay, those are the type of samples I could make to get placed.
Yeah, true.
So there's both sides to it.
Yeah, there really is. One thing when you're talking about he keeps an artist in mind, when I make a sample, I try and communicate a picture. So, say for instance, I don't know, XY sample or this sample. When you hear it, it sort of paints a picture in my mind, and that's why I try and hold on to that picture. And once you've got that picture, like say for instance, I want it to sound like Bowser's Castle.
Yes.
When you've got that image, it's easier to build stuff around it that makes it sound like Bowser's Castle. That's why when people hear some of my samples or some of my boys' samples, they should be like, oh, this sounds like XYZ. This sounds like you're walking on the beach with, I don't know, Corona in your hand, or I don't know.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I make samples a similar way. I mean, I've made samples that maybe I won't have the idea or the image right away, but I'll start it and I'll be like, oh, that chord reminds me of a James Bond villain, like Super Lair, like a nice private mansion on a beach, but it's like dark still because it's like a spy movie, you know, different things. And it helps you communicate the idea.
It really does. That's source right there.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I'll even, you know, if I'm creating on my computer, I have a projector in my room and I'll project just different things onto the wall, whether that's...
Ooh, that's hard.
Yeah, it's like I'll project, you know, stock footage. Like I'll type in like vintage Hollywood, and it's just old photos and videos of old Hollywood. And I'm like, okay, what does that sound like in my ear?
Facts. That's what a lot of me and my boys, like me and Greg, we always talk about, oh, what does that sound like? Oh, Greg would send me a picture, a crazy picture on my phone of like some crazy... Let me find the picture real quick.
Definitely. See, and that's what I love about the creation process, and especially sample making, is you can find inspiration from unlikely places, and it'll really shape what you're creating that day. Even if you didn't have a vision of what you wanted to make that day, it'll guide you in the right direction because you're following your joy.
He sent me... I found the picture. He sent me... Oh, it didn't save to my camera. He sent me this... Oh, it's like a...
Oh, whoa.
He took a picture of like a...
It's like a moon? Or
like
moon,
the sun?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is crazy. And I have this other one of a picture of a chair. I can't find it. But yeah, just random pictures of stuff. We would send like each other pictures or talk about, oh, this sample sounds like a James Bond movie. But yeah.
I think that's a smart way to create because you almost... you know, never run out of ideas.
Facts. It's really hard to run dry of ideas when you're doing that. Lately, I've not been doing that. Lately, I've just been making what I call Coldplay music.
Yeah.
Because I love Coldplay, and it's always like I remember listening to Paradise when I was a kid, and that was part of my childhood. Like Coldplay were a big part of my childhood. So just listen to music. And right now I'm just chilling in Africa, just making Coldplay music right now, just chilling. I dropped a pack.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like, you know, you're following what inspires you and what brings you joy. And that's something I always try to communicate with people is like, don't get so caught up in like, you know, it's obviously important to have a business model. It's important to have a plan. But if you don't make time for like enjoying yourself and doing things for the right reasons, it almost has no point, I feel like.
Facts. That's true.
So you mentioned Greg. I saw, you know, there's whispers of you guys having a pack. You guys having a pack.
Yeah. The pack's on the way.
Nah.
Just gotta finish it.
Yeah, I mean, tell us about like, you know, your collaborative process, because I know you're part of the chosen ones, and collaboration is something that really...
I'm joking.
It's something though that you know, that collaboration really helps you guys like learn more and be better. And I'm somebody where I haven't collaborated as much as I feel like I should. And through talking to you guys, it's inspiring me to work with others. Would you say that working with others is really like helped you get to a higher level than if you would have just been doing things alone in your room?
I feel like it's important that you step out of your room and work with other people, because you never know who's going to inspire you, or you can make a crazy sample with someone and it could change your life, you know, like placement wise or just emotionally, it can change your life and the way you think about things. I feel like the process that me and Greg have is like, he'll start an idea or I'll start an idea and we'll listen, and he'll be like, oh, send that, let me work on it, you know? But it's only stuff that we both think's fire, you know? I wouldn't play a sample to someone that I don't think's fire, you know, or a starter.
Of course.
And I feel like nowadays there's a lot of, in the producer community, there's a lot of people standing around each other's starters and trying to finish. So I feel like that's a big, like, which is here now, but that wasn't here before, like 3 years ago.
I agree.
When I started making samples, no one was really talking about starters and stuff.
No, I mean, even it seems like in the last 5 years, production wise, seeing producers collaborate is like being revamped and brought back. You know, back in the day, you'd have multiple songwriters, multiple session musicians, and everybody's bringing these different flavors and spices to this dish that is a song or a record. And I feel like sometimes through history, we can lose that, but things end up swinging back the other way. And like we're entering this amazing time where, you know, you have multiple engineers, you have multiple sample makers, multiple producers, and it all ends up being this like revamped version of how music was made from like the golden era, you know?
I feel that. It's just like how Michael Jackson on his albums, there's actually a place, I think Joe Stanley was playing me like Michael Jackson stems, and hearing like each part or the whole string quartet or the strings and you can tell it's different people playing it, and when it comes together it's just so wild, you know. And
I agree.
I feel like that's what's missing in music. Well, it's coming back, but like a lot of collaboration. You see like people do collab albums now and collab sample packs. And
they're really good. And you know, I feel like for me growing up, I don't know if everybody's like this, but I know when I listen to music, like I grew up, I loved the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I really liked John Mayer.
Oh, those are hard.
My thing is, I felt like I could hear the guitar player play two notes, and I could tell you, oh, that's John Mayer playing, or that's John Frusciante playing, and that's something that I think is a lot of people don't give enough credit to. Is each human really does have their own sound, like the way they play stuff. You're good, bro. Don't worry.
I don't know what that was. Was that my phone?
It's Chewbacca, dude.
Yeah, bro, it was scary.
What was the music scene kind of like where you grow up and stuff?
Like I still don't listen. I don't listen to much music. When I grew up in, where did I grow up? Swanley. It's called, yeah. I grew up in Swanley, Kent, which is in like some town in England. Not really much going on music wise. Like my family, we really didn't listen to a lot of music. I only started listening to music when my sister gave me her MP3 player. Like it was a tiny, was it Sony Walkman?
Yep.
Yeah, it was a tiny. And I remember listening to like one track was Paramore, Ain't It Fun. Next track was Chief Keef's Love, So.
Yes.
It was just like a lot of different pieces from everywhere. And also growing up in the church, like listening to a lot of like Mary Jane, like is her name Mary Jane, and listen to a lot of Kirk Franklin and those guys. I don't think it influenced me, but you know, just that's how I grew up.
Do you feel like your relationship with God has like affected your music a lot?
Oh yeah, definitely. I feel like everything I have comes from God. So like, and even creativity, all the ideas, I know that they're not mine, they're all God's. Like, so that's what I believe. So, yeah.
I feel like that happens like to me, and those are the things that make me like feel like, you know, God or whatever you personally would like to call it, universal energy. I feel like that divine inspiration, like when you're making music, you're really channeling, because I'll pick up the guitar, and I'm sure it's similar for you, but you know, you'll pick it up and you'll noodle around for a little bit, and then something hits and inspires you, and you're like, it doesn't feel like it was you. It felt like you channeled it.
Fact. That's how I was feeling about Toy Box when I was making like samples, bro. I can't even remember making the samples. Like it was just, I feel like it's just like something's just controlling me, or like an out of body experience. I usually like making music with the lights off, because when you're in that dark space, it's just you and the music. You're really focused on the music, and I feel like making music in the dark is like a secret, not gem or secret sauce, because it's just, there's not a lot of external out input. It's just you and the sounds, and that's all you can see. Like I'll be struggling to see my screen whilst I'm making music because it's dark, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I've done vocal recording sessions with vocalists, and they've asked me, they're like, "Can you turn all the lights off, even the computer screen, like, and the whole studio is just black, and they're recording, and they're just." But you know, it's them getting in their creative zone, and I really feel like it gets you in tune with the music.
For real, definitely.
How did you first connect with the people you're working with now? Whether that's, Motif and the Rucker Collective, or, Kabali and your other friends. Like, how did those connections kind of happen?
I'll start with Rucker. So Rucker, it's a crazy story. So I was in a Christian beat battle, right? It was like a little community, and I won one day against a guy called One Tel Music. And One Tel Music was a talkbox player. Sorry, this is a long story. So he's a talkbox player. A couple months later, I'm on YouTube. I accidentally click on I think it was a John Blue sample pack, and I was listening to that. And prior to that, Versus just showed up on my YouTube recommended. I listened to his videos, and through that, and through John Blue, and through listening to Motif's first pack, that's how I knew about Rucker. Then I see one day John Blue posts on his story, "I need a talkbox player." I knew a talkbox player from like a couple months back called One Tel Music.
Yeah.
So I tell John Blue about One Tel. They make a crazy sample together. John Blue like follows me, and I post a sample on my page. He didn't even know I make samples, and he said, "Yo, this is crazy." Then he sent it to Cass, and the rest was history, really.
That's amazing.
And like Cass, my brother, you know, that's my guy.
Definitely, he is doing phenomenal work. Him and Motif, like they care so much about the community, and you can tell.
For real. Like he's definitely a big bro. And how I met Greg. So it was through this. I think it was a Debussy piece, because when I was in school, I studied classical music. So he posted a Debussy thing, and I said, "Oh, I'm doing the Haydn 104, which is a symphony." Then through that, we just started talking. Then the Split Mind Discord came along. There was a Split Mind Discord, and Greg at the time was part of Split Mind, and we met. I met Greg. I met a lot of Milk. I met a lot of my friends on that Split Mind Discord. Then after that, we just made Chosen Ones. Then we all just like migrated to that server.
And you were the one who started the Chosen Ones Discord, right?
It was me and Tooch. So I told Tooch to start the Discord. Then because he knew how to make Discords, he just made it. Then the rest was history. Now we waste all our time on the Discord.
Nah, I think you guys are doing amazing work, man. And it's not wasting your time if you're having fun. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, true.
About
there's this game called what you say?
I was just gonna say, about how many people are in Chosen Ones.
Let me check. I don't know.
Because I don't know if it's something like there's 5 of you, or if there's 15 of you, or what.
There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people, but a lot of them are active. There's like 180 people.
Oh, okay.
Like 80 to 100 people.
Okay.
But it's only like 20 people that are active, like out of our friend group, you know.
And you guys are always like bouncing stuff off of one another and sending starters and all that, right?
Yeah. Like I remember one time Kabali went live and played a song called Drunken Merchant. It was ass. I had to tell him to his face.
No, but he said that, and he says he appreciates that kind of stuff though, because it keeps you guys, like held accountable, and like keeps your knife sharp, if that makes sense.
It does. It really does. Because when I go live and play my Coldplay music I've been making lately, they'd be like, "Yo, this is a complete rip of Coldplay," and I'll be like, "Dang, well, you know."
At least you're telling me.
Yeah, at least they're telling me to my face, you know.
Yeah, they're not just like being disingenuous or anything.
Yeah, true. Like sometimes my audio won't be playing, and they'll be like, "Yo, this is crazy," and it's on mute, and I'll be like, "Dang,
these fuckers, dude."
Yeah, bro, for real.
That's amazing. What are your daily habits like? Kind of when you wake up, like when you end the day. When do you make time for music? What is your daily routine sort of
I
like?
usually wake up, I pray, I try and get a bit of the Bible in. Then I go eat. Then I sit down and cook up. If I don't, sometimes I cook up and it's just to make sound, just to make a sound. But other times I really cook up with an intent to make a sample. Lately I've just been cooking up and making sounds and just seeing what works and seeing what doesn't. But yeah, that's basically. What about you? What's your daily routine looking like?
I appreciate that, man. Like nobody really asked me. For me, lately I've been enjoying waking up like relatively early, around like 7:30 or 8 a.m. I usually like to go for a walk, like right when I wake up. I like to go out and go for a walk because they say, getting that burst of sunlight right in the beginning of the day is supposed to be really good for you. And I'll do that. I kind of use that time to get my mind ready for the day. Then I come home and usually I'll start creating. I kind of forego eating for a while because I'm a little weird. I'm somebody who I feel like my brain works at a higher level when I'm not digesting food. And it's just something personal, but I'll, make samples a majority of the day. And I usually try to cut it off around 6 p.m. or 7 and then enjoy the rest of my night. Because as much as I love making music, I know separating it and like making time for other things will keep me balanced and keeps me away from fatigue and burning out.
Yeah. I feel like knowing when to stop is a big thing, because I went through a whole thing when I was in hospitalized because I didn't stop making music. Like I was just awake and I didn't sleep and I wasn't getting good sleep. Then I got into the hospital.
Dang.
Yeah, it's not good. Yeah, it's not good.
So that's an important lesson, man. Yeah.
Go to sleep. Go to sleep. For real. Go to sleep.
Drink plenty of water. Go to sleep. Like, make sure you take an ear break,
For real.
Do you feel like taking ear breaks is important when you're making music?
Like, usually I'll get an idea, then I'll just sit back and listen to it. Then I'll come back, then I'll add stuff, then I'll sit back and listen to it. And all of this isn't done in the dark, so I feel like it's really important to take an ear break, because taking a 15-minute break will let you know if it's ass or not. You come back and be like, what the hell is this?
Exactly.
Just like that Kabali drunken merchant sample.
Yeah, man. When you're creating, another question I've been asking people with their kind of ties into their daily routine is, do you smoke or drink or anything when you create?
Nah, I don't. I don't feel like that would help you create music. It's kind of counterintuitive.
I agree. Yeah, I'm somebody, I've done both. I grew up in Southern California, and California is a huge marijuana capital of the world. And I grew up and I smoked in my teenage years a little bit. And then in my early 20s, I was smoking as well. But lately, I've just noticed, to be at your highest, functioning self, why would you put things in your body to take away from that? And as, we're kind of sold on the idea that, music, you party like a rock star, you smoke if you're going to make music, you drink, or, even little things that I cut out recently was coffee. I felt like caffeine was making me too analytical and it wasn't letting me create because I was just so focused, and it's almost like sounds were irritating me in a weird way.
I feel like for some people, I think it's all personal. I feel like for some people it helps them make music. Like smoking could make them loose, and they could be able to make music, but just not for me. It's just not for me.
A good old quote I remember hearing when I was younger was talking about Flying Lotus, and Flying Lotus said he makes all his music sober, but he listens to it high.
Oh,
and I was like, he's kind of doing both.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And even then, I wonder if that because it might have some sort of inspiration or effect on your music that when you're sober creating, you're not thinking of, and then you smoke and listen to it, and you're like, ooh, this other instrument might sound cool or something.
Yeah, true.
But I'm somebody who, at the end of the day, like I'm trying to be like a Tom Brady. I'm trying to be somebody who values their daily habits, who can do things for as long as they want to, and they're operating at a high level no matter how old they are.
Wait, is that Tom Brady, the NFL dude?
Yeah, the NFL player.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not a huge football guy, but I'm a Tom Brady fan just because of his lifestyle and who he is as a person. Yeah. Let's see here. Unlock the phone. Typically, from the time inspiration strikes you when you're making music, about how long before you have a completed idea?
Ooh, like I've always been a guy to spend at least a day on a sample. Depends on where I'm going with it. If it's like a simple loop or if it's an actual long composition. I feel like definitely taking breaks between making music gives you a better outlook, and so I might make something one day, then take like 2 days off, then listen to it again, then come back and make a new, like, finish it. So yeah, probably like 1 to 2 days.
Nice.
Which is really bad because like output is horrendous, but you know, the music's good.
I feel like the quality of the output isn't horrendous though. You know, it's like you can't, I feel like sometimes we get lost in equating like how fast you can do something with how good you are, which, you know, the better you are, obviously you can do things faster. But I feel like everything happens in the right time, if that makes sense. Like you're always going at the perfect pace, if that makes sense.
True.
When you're working on, you know, a sound, whether that's, you know, a vocal or a guitar, like what's that feeling in you that you recognize as like, oh shit, like I want to keep going, like something about this is magic. Like, and I know that's kind of a hard feeling to articulate, but what's that feeling like?
I feel like if he makes you smile or makes you laugh, just carry on. Because usually if I'm making a crazy sample, I'll just be like, this is hard, bro, and I'll be laughing. But yeah, that's literally it. If it makes me smile, makes me laugh, makes me feel something, just carry on until you're complete, you know?
Definitely. How have you been staying inspired musically and creatively?
Lately, I've been hella uninspired, I'm not gonna lie. But I don't even know. Maybe it's like after I came out of hospital, it was like, I feel like it was just on level 0 again. But I feel like inspiration can come from your surroundings. So like when I go outside, who was I talking to yesterday? I don't remember who it was, but I said, yo, sometimes I go outside and I'll be like, dang, I'm in Africa. Like I'm actually in Africa. Like what the hell? Because it's just a crazy different sound.
Yeah.
I think you can hear in my mic someone saying something, like screaming outside. It's not like they're like calling people to buy something, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be a completely different culture than when you were in the UK.
True. You don't see people on walking around the roads trying to sell stuff.
No,
in England.
Definitely not. I mean, not even in California. The only things I see like that are, you know, if they're selling flowers or if they're selling fruit.
Yeah.
It's the only two things I see out here. Let's see. How did you know when you were ready to release your first sample pack?
Bro, it took me long to release Toy Box, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like it was just, I first signed to Rucker. I dropped in December. I signed to Rucker in August, I think. So I was just finishing off the pack, and finally when I had those 10 samples, I listened to them all and I played them for like other people, and they're like, yeah, this is finished. And I'll be like, dang, let's drop it then, you know?
Definitely.
I feel like knowing when to finish a pack could be the hardest thing about making a pack, because you always want to put out the best things out into the public, and you'll be like, oh, take this sample off, put this sample on, that's how I felt about sound bites. When I was making sound bites, I like interchanged samples so many times just because I was like, is this finished? Then I played it for my boys and they were like, yeah, this is finished. So
Yeah, it was nice that you had like reliable ears you could bounce the ideas off of and be like,
Yeah.
is this ass or gas?
Yeah, true. Yeah, true.
When you're finishing up a pack and you're getting it ready for release, do you, at least, through the Rucker Collective, do you bounce it off of Kaz and kind of
Oh
like
yeah, for
see,
sure.
yeah, like
Yeah,
what's that
Cass is
process kind
definitely
of
like
like?
I send him samples all the time, and sometimes he will say, "Oh, this is we have enough for a pack," but definitely, I feel like Cass was someone I called and said, "Yo, is Soundbites, is it fire? Like, is it good?" And he's like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Okay, bet." Because
Nice.
I'm really, I feel like as of late, I've been really over critical about my work, being like, "Dang, is this fire? Is this better than Toy Box? Is it better than this?" But I feel like comparing yourself to comparing yourself to yourself and comparing yourself to others can be a lot like counterintuitive, because it was stopping me from relaxing and be like, okay,
Yeah, you almost get caught up in things that you don't know if they actually even matter. You're like, like, is the music good? It's not about is this
Yeah,
better or worse than I did.
yeah,
It's just more so. I guess the important question is, does it elicit an emotional response? That's the important
It's
thing I feel like about samples.
definitely, yeah.
Because the best ones like give you a feeling or give you, it's not just something you hear. It's not only one type of feeling either. Like life is a variety of emotions. And I feel like samples, especially like music, needs to reflect all the emotions of life.
True. I feel like definitely one thing I like about samples is when I freestyle on the mic and put my vocals down, it's usually the first words that come into my head, like on Survival or a sample I made that in emotion. I just sang, and once the metronome forces you to hurry up and think of something else off on the fly, because it's like duh, 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 and you have to deliver. And in those moments, I feel like the best music is made.
Definitely.
When you're under pressure and the BPM's catching up, and you're like, you need to sing something.
Yeah, man. I mean, pressure makes diamonds. That's what it is.
Definitely.
And it's like a healthy pressure. It's not a pressure that's gonna break you. It's a pressure that's gonna build you.
Definitely.
What are some unorthodox ways you've made music before?
Unorthodox. Let me think. I used to make all my music on my bed. Like everything was made on, like Toy Box was made on my bed. Like it was very weird, because when you're playing guitar, you had to like position myself in weird positions. And I remember I held the mic in between my legs to record guitar, because I didn't have a mic stand at the time.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But other than that, no, nothing too unorthodox. Now I'm just a normal desk guy. I kind of miss making music on my bed, because the best music was made on my bed. But
it's a really
I had to grow up.
intimate experience when you're making it on your bed.
Yeah, true. I sat with my instruments, man. Like literally, my bed when I went to sleep was all my instruments. My laptop opened, and it's just me trying to balance on the bed. It's crazy.
I've been the same way. When I first started playing guitar when I was 14, and I literally used to go to sleep with my guitar in my bed. Like I'd lay it down on my pillow, and I was like, "This is my wife, dude. I'm married to this thing."
For real, married to the game.
Yeah, man. What are some unorthodox, I guess, places you've got inspiration from? Whether that's TV or music or even just going out. Like, what are some things?
I feel like Oliver Twist, Mary Poppins, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, crazy, all crazy. Like Oliver Twist, I'll do anything for you, dear, anything. That sample, that song's good. Crazy. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, there's a song called A Dollhouse, or what can you see these people staring at me? I feel like those kind of musical, it's something I draw a lot of inspiration from. What else? Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, Oliver Twist. I said one more. I Or the other one. What's the other one?
Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins, yeah. Spoonful of Sugar.
Such
'Cause
a classic banger.
Classic. Because I used to sing them when I was a kid for my singing lessons. So they just stuck with me till now. And also, I think I make a lot of my best ideas in the shower. Like, I'd just be singing in the shower and I'll just be like, whoa, that's hard. Then I'll keep singing it out of the shower. I'll keep singing that melodic idea until I can get to my phone and voice note it.
I love that, man. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Do voice notes really help you, like, when you're creating?
Super. Like, voice notes are literally the GOAT. Because the fact is you can voice note, drag it into FL, and you just work with the instruments around the voice note. And I probably have like 300, 400 voice notes on my phone. Like, all my best samples come from voice notes. I feel like it's just comes back to the intent of making a sample. When I forgot to say this. Eli Brown.
The GOAT. The GOAT, bro.
The GOAT, for real. His class, I took it, I don't know, like 2 years ago. And it was one of the most eye-opening things because just seeing him create and him telling me every sound has to have an intention. Like, why are you adding that sound if it has no role in the sample or it doesn't make you feel anything? So that whole ideology of having intent really carried through my sample life. That's why I like to voice and stuff, because it's intentful.
Of course, you're creating with intention.
Yeah, intention.
And when you're making samples, like, I always compare music and cooking, because you don't want an ingredient in your dish if it doesn't need to be there. You know,
Facts.
like
Facts.
that's what it is. You know, it's just like, even like I compare like random things, like, you know, a crash or like a one shot that only happens every 16 or 32 bars is like that little bite of parsley you get. You wouldn't want parsley in every bite of like something you're eating, but every fourth or fifth bite you're like, ooh, that's that spice I wanted.
That's hard. Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, man.
That's hard. I never thought about that way. Like, cooking that's hard.
Yeah.
Because if it's not adding to the dish, take it out. Take it out, bro.
Like, I remember early on when I was producing, this is the good experience that like really let me know about adding things, was I had recorded a guitar loop, and then I put a pad behind it, but the pad was the same exact voicing as the guitar. It was the same chord progression. And I remember playing it for my friend, and he's like, yeah, like, you added a pad, but I don't feel like it added anything to the song. Because it's just the same. It's like literally just mimicking a layer, and it wasn't even like something prominent.
I feel that, definitely.
Yeah. So I think, you know, creating with intention and like really only adding something if it's adding something.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's see. Just thinking of anything I've missed here in this first section. What are some albums or songs that have shaped your music taste and sound now?
Oh, now Sampha's albums, crazy. Processes, crazy. It's the reverse faults, crazy.
So good.
Chorus sings, crazy. Oliver Twist, was it what's that song? The one that Jay-Z sampled.
Hard Knock Life?
Yeah, Hard Knock Life. Crazy.
So good. That was the first hip-hop song I had ever heard in my life, was Hard Knock Life.
Oh, that's crazy.
I remember being like a little kid, and my cousins who were older than me, they had played it. We had gone into my grandparents' garage, and they're like, all right, shut the door. Like, Grandpa and Grandma can't know. And then they played this song, and I remember hearing the sample, and that was like my first real like emotional response to a sample, to hip hop. It was something completely new that changed my life.
The song's crazy.
So it's even crazy that you mentioned that exact sample. That's wild, bro.
Hey, bro, it's crazy. I feel like a lot of inspirations cross over, like me and Kabali, like Thriller, crazy. Michael Jackson, crazy. I'm trying to think. Sweeney Todd.
Yes, such a good
Sweeney
movie, such a
Todd.
good soundtrack.
Crazy. No Place Like London. Crazy.
So good.
That was crazy. That was crazy. Sweeney Todd's crazy. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
See, that's amazing. I feel like that's something that'll really resonate with a lot of people, is showing you, don't just listen to modern stuff, or don't even just listen to like past hits. Listen to stuff that from movies. Listen to stuff that was famous before MTV, just music from all different eras can really change and shape how you create now.
I've got to give an honorable mention to like Rema and what's his name? Fireboy, DML, Peru. Like those are some songs lately. I saw Rema in concert.
Nice.
Like a couple weeks ago, and some of the songs like Bounce, Woman, Do Maybe, so crazy.
Rema's incredible. That's another crazy thing that you just mentioned. I just discovered his music like a month ago, and my friends and I have been like bumping his music, and we even made music inspired by that music.
Yeah, true. I have a sample called African Sunshine that's inspired by the whole Rema. Yeah.
That's amazing. All right. Yep. Well, I think we'll move on to my next section. This section's called For the Nerds. So this will be kind of a little bit more about plugins and those sort of things.
Oh, okay. Sure.
What are some of your most regularly used plugins?
The Clev Grand Bundle, King's Microphone, FabFilter, obviously everyone knows, or everyone should know FabFilter. Sound Toys Bundle, it's crazy. It's pretty much it.
What are some of your most regularly used instruments or pieces of gear that you have?
Ooh, I like this. Oh, dang. Let me see if I can put that. This thing. It's like the Roland JU06.
It's like the Juno.
Thing. Yeah, it's like the Juno, Juno 60 and the Juno 106. Briven put me onto this. A guy called Briven. Brian, rather. His name's Brian. Analog Lab, the bundle, Arturo bundle, Loophole.
Of course.
Yeah, that's legit. Loophole's the source, man.
And then guitars or like are you still using the Dizzy flute and stuff?
The Dizzy flute I don't use that much. It's right here, actually.
There it is.
The GOAT. Guitars, I have like a electric guitar. I'm getting an acoustic and a nylon soon.
Nice. What are some of your favorite effects to use to transform or reshape a sound?
Ooh, I'll have to think of... Chorus is pretty fire. I know Tooch uses chorus a lot.
Do you ever use any like pitch shifting or reversing effects or anything like that?
Nah, not really. I'm pretty vanilla on that side. King's Microphone, like the mic amp, can change the way your vocals sound. It's pretty fire. That's waves. And I really like this EQ called Schweppes.
Oh yeah, the Scheps, the 1073. Yes. Or I think it's called Shep 73.
73.
Yeah.
That one's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's based on
the way it EQs.
Yeah, it's based on the Neve 1073 EQ.
It's fire. Other than that, not really, not much. I don't really use that much. That's literally it.
It's pretty much just like how you record the sound, huh?
Yeah. It's just there's this Wow Control, Good Hurts. That whole bundle's crazy. Like Wow Control, on guitars is pretty nice. You can get that like on the sample called Kangaroo on Toybox. That's how you get that like sort of tone. Use Good Hurts Wow Control.
That's a good piece of advice. I haven't tried all the Good Hurts plugins yet. I've been wanting to get them, but I missed Black Friday, and I was like, I don't know, dude. Do I gotta wait till next Black Friday or what?
I feel.
What are some of the most underrated or slept on plugins in your opinion?
Slept on? Definitely. I feel like live instruments are slept on. Like
I agree.
Heavy. Loophole. I don't think slept on, but yeah, definitely. All the Loophole like extensions. Kill September's Bank's pretty fire. I can't really think about anything on the top of my head.
That's
Like
okay.
VST wise, yeah.
Yeah, like one that I like is like I did a tutorial on it, but the Mic Mod EFX, like that's a plugin that you get and it takes whatever microphone you're using and you just tell it what you want it to sound like. So you could be like, oh, I recorded on an SM57, but I want it to sound like a $10,000 Sony C800.
Oh, snap.
And it's like you just put it on there and you choose the microphone and you can adjust there's only like 3 little knobs, but what it does is it's like a EQ and saturation that makes it sound like that expensive microphone. It's really good.
That's hard. I need to look into that. Is that on Taurus?
It's Antares.
I have that plugin. I just never used it. I'm gonna look into
Same thing with me, man. There's so many plugins that like I'll have that I don't look into, and then you're just like, I remember one day when I was learning to engineer, like in mix and master, I just opened all my Waves plugins. Like I just saw the list, and I just was going down one by one and hitting there's a little question mark. If you ever open the plugins, there's a little question mark on there. If you click that, it opens the manual. And that tells you what every knob, what every setting does. So if you ever want to know what the plugins do, hit that little question mark in the plugin window, and you'll be like, oh shit, I didn't even know I could do that.
That's a gem.
Yeah, man. That's, anything we can do to like pass on information to the people viewing and like trying to get better. That's my whole goal of life, is just helping the community that I love.
That's fire.
Yeah, man. What is some secret sauce that you wish you had known earlier when you started making samples?
Known earlier? Have a community around you, because it's hard. It's bad making music on your own. I feel like it's bad mentally. Just in your room 24/7, just making music. It gets bad. So having a community around you. Don't compare yourself to other people. I feel like that's a big thing.
I agree,
because you hear new Kingsway back and you're like, dang, like that new Scarpy duo. There was this one sample, the last sample in the pack. I don't know what it's called. If you go to a website, you can download it. But that one's crazy, and I found myself like, yo, how'd they do that? But I was like, you get to a point where you're like, yo, it doesn't even matter. Like, my music and their music are completely different.
Yeah, I'm a different person than that person who's creating that music.
Yeah, true. And just enjoy yourself, really. Just have fun. Don't listen to people that say, oh, this is the way you get a placement, because placements aren't guaranteed,
No, they're not.
So, yeah.
And there's a million different ways that things happen. Like,
facts.
I can't tell you how many weird situations I've been in where I wasn't making music. I was at some restaurant or I was at some place. And I just started talking to somebody, and then you find out, oh, they're like, oh, what do you do? You're like, oh, I make music. And then, oh, I know this manager or this person. You should talk to them. And then you talk to that manager, and then you find out, oh, this is Murder Beat's manager. I didn't even know that. I met him through a mutual friend and we hit it off, and then suddenly you're like, oh snap, dude, like I have a plug for this that I wouldn't have found if I was just solely in my room making music.
That's hard. Yeah, definitely.
All right, we'll move on to my final 5. This is kind of where we'll wind down the interview, and these answers can be one word or one sentence. They don't have to be very long if you don't want them to.
Yeah, okay.
What is something you wish more people did in their music?
That's a crazy question. Let me think. What is something I feel like people should do in their music? What's something that I don't like in music? Nylon. I hate VST guitars. Stop using that.
Yeah, they don't sound as good as a real guitar.
Yeah, that's legit. Yeah, stop using it, please.
Nice. Where do you see music going in the next 5 years?
Ooh, next 5 years. I feel like a lot of NFT music, that like Frank Dukes Ghost thing. I feel like a lot of people are gonna start doing NFT stuff. I feel like an NFT sample pack would be dope.
I agree. That's something I've wanted to look into myself. Like, You know, there's expensive gas fees to pay when you're doing NFT stuff, but you know, the profit you can make or whatever, you know, it can make up for it. But I look at the value of a sample pack NFT as like art. Like you're literally selling like a painting. It's the same thing to me.
Yeah, true.
What would you say is the best way for a sample maker to improve their samples?
Oh, this is I think I've said this before, but there's this channel on YouTube called Andre Navarro. He posts samples. Just listen to that every day and like try and interpolate. Is it called interpolation? Try and remake one of the samples every month or every week, and you get better.
Yeah, that's definitely a good piece of advice.
Yeah.
What is the worst advice you've ever received?
Worst advice I've ever received? I don't even know. This is ass.
I feel that.
No, I'm joking. Yeah, that's probably it. Like, worst advice? This is ass. Because technically nothing's ass, just you don't like it.
Yeah, no, you're right, 100%. It's not your cup of tea, or it's not your perspective.
Because I feel like when people like use that word, but when you keep saying it, it kind of like makes someone like, I feel like when people are like, oh, this is ass, it makes me rethink my whole life. So
Definitely.
No, I'm joking. But yeah. Yeah.
What is the best advice you've ever received?
Ooh, best advice I've ever received. The Eli advice. The Eli piece of advice, definitely.
Creating with
like,
intent.
Do everything with intention. Yeah, that's legit.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking some time to chop it up with me today.
No, thank you, bro. Thank you for having me on this podcast.
Yeah, man. I've been a fan of your work a long time. Like, you've always inspired me, and just keep going. You're a phenomenal human. Like, you're on the right path. Just keep following your joy, and whatever you guys are doing and whatever you're doing yourself, man, just stay true to that, and it's gonna carry you really far. I believe in you.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. You too.
Thank you, man. All right. Well, you have a great day. I'll end the podcast here.
Yes, sir.